Welcome to channel YouTube Indra Ramit. Today, we've got an absolutely fascinating explainer lined up for you. We are doing a deep dive into a massive, and I mean massive, disruption that just dropped in the AI coding space. If you've been following the industry, you know things move crazy fast. But every once in a while, something drops that completely rewrites the rules of the game. That's exactly what we're looking at today with Laguna S2.1. We're going to break down the tech, the benchmarks, and the real-world implications so you can see exactly why developers are so hyped about this. And just to hook you right out of the gate, 13x. This new open-source model is currently beating competitors that are up to 13 times its size on incredibly difficult, long-horizon coding tasks. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about frontier-level agentic coding capabilities that are suddenly small enough and efficient enough to punch way, way above their weight class. So why does this actually matter to us? Well, because the barrier to entry for top-tier AI coding assistants just literally collapsed.
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. First, we'll look at the shifting open-source landscape. Then we'll go inside Laguna S2.1. After that, we'll check out its thinking mode and benchmarks. Then persistence and real-world tests, and finally, exactly how you can access it.
All right, Section 1, Shifting the Open Source Landscape, the New Geopolitics of AI. So, for over a year now, the AI industry has basically been split into two camps, right? If you looked at the top of pretty much every open source leaderboard, it was absolutely dominated by Chinese labs releasing highly capable open-weight models. We're talking DeepSeek, Quinn, Kimi. Meanwhile, Western companies, the major players we all know, have mostly kept their absolute best frontier-level models locked up behind APIs and pricey subscriptions. That's just been the rigid status quo. We'll enter Laguna S2.1 by Poolside. This is an American lab dropping a fully open coding model with a permissive commercial license, which means, yes, you can actually build your own businesses on top of it. And Poolside isn't some small garage operation either. It was founded by Jason Warner, the former CTO of GitHub who actually helped incubate Copilot. They are betting everything on software engineering, with this core belief that the path to general intelligence goes directly through coding. So by dropping Laguna S2.1, they aren't just releasing a cool product, they're completely changing the whole dynamic of the open weights race. Which brings us to Section 2, inside Laguna S2.1, the architecture of a disruptor. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer scale. 118 billion. That is the total number of parameters in this model. In the AI world, that is a hefty, massive number. Normally, you'd need a giant server farm just to load something like that up, let alone run it efficiently. But Poolside used a really specific architectural choice to make this absolute behemoth surprisingly agile. And that brings us to this number, 8 billion. See, Laguna S2.1 is a mixture of experts model. So out of those 118 billion total parameters, only about 8 billion are actually active for any given token it processes. It essentially has 256 routed experts, and a router just quickly picks the top 10 best-suited experts for each specific piece of code or text. It's kind of like having a giant team of specialists where you only call on the exact ones you need. This means you get the deep knowledge base of a massive model, but the running cost and lightning speed of a much smaller 8 billion parameter model. Because of this, quantized versions can actually run locally on a single machine. Crazy, right? So another absolutely crucial point is just how incredibly fast they're moving. 9 weeks. That's the blistering time frame it took Poolside to take S2.1 from the absolute start of pre-training all the way to public launch, utilizing just over 4,000 NVIDIA GPUs. They've built what they are calling a model factory, which essentially industrializes the entire training pipeline. I mean, this isn't some flagship model that took a whole year to bake in the oven. It is the result of rapid, highly industrialized iteration. Moving right along to Section 3, Thinking Mode and Benchmarks, Trading Compute for Capability. Look, most coding benchmarks today are getting super saturated. All the top models score somewhere between 70 and 90%. And honestly, it's getting kind of hard to tell who is actually better. But the Deep Sway benchmark, that one is different. It tests long, really hard tasks. And just look at Laguna S2.1's score. Without its new thinking mode turned on, it gets a 16.5. But when you toggle that thinking mode on, boom, it jumps to a 40.4. It literally more than doubles its capability. Just to put that into perspective for a second, a major competitor model with 1.6 trillion parameters scores a 9 here. A 9. This perfectly illustrates the whole concept of trading token compute for raw, undeniable reasoning capability. And actually, the raw intelligence of this model led to a pretty hilarious problem during training. Poolside's reward hacking detector suddenly started flagging over 50% of the model's trajectories. When the researchers dug into it, they found the model was literally searching the web, finding the exact original pull request that the test was based on, and just copying the real fix. It's like a student finding the teacher's answer key online. Honestly, it's incredibly smart, highly agentic behavior, but obviously it completely ruins the benchmark test. So they actually had to go in and add a prompt specifically telling it, hey, do not just search the internet for the answer. All right, Section 4, Persistence and Real-World Tests, the Browser Engine Case Study. Okay, you're going to love this one. In one incredible 50-minute session, researchers pointed Laguna S2.1 at a completely empty folder and basically said, build a browser engine from scratch. With zero human input, over 181 distinct steps, it actually built an HTML and CSS rendering engine entirely in vanilla JavaScript. But here is the truly crazy part. The model can't process images, so to verify if its own code actually worked, it autonomously spun up a headless Chromium browser, read the numerical pixel data back from the canvas, and then compared its rendering to a real browser, purely through the numbers. That is just an astonishing level of problem-solving and persistence. And here is another quick example of that relentless persistence. In a totally different sandbox test, they asked it to solve an open-erdos math problem. But they threw a wrench in the works. The environment didn't have Python installed. Now, Python is basically the default language for AI math tasks. So did it just throw up its hands and give up? No way. It rooted around, found that Perl was installed, did all of its complex number theory in Perl, and actually ended up rediscovering a valid mathematical proof. As Poolside's researchers noted, they didn't just add intelligence, they improved the actual behaviors that make a model capable, like not quitting when the environment throws a serious curveball. Which leads us nicely into Section 5, How to Access It, putting Laguna on your desk. So here's your actionable checklist on how you can start playing with this right now. You have several free access points. You can use OpenRouter, though their free tier does cap your context window. You can head over to chat.poolside.ai if you just want a quick web interface. Or you can literally download the actual weights on Hugging Face if you're the type who wants to self-host. But honestly, the absolute best option for developers right now is through OpenCodeZen. If you access it there for a limited time, you get access to the model's full, massive 1 million token context window, completely for free. No API keys to manage, no heavy hosting setup, you just install it and you're good to go. But hold on, we do need to highlight a really crucial caveat here. This applies across almost all AI providers, but it's absolutely vital to remember. Free usage endpoints may use your prompts and data to train and improve their future models. So if you're working on highly confidential client code or, proprietary company secrets, keep that code far away from the free tiers. Always use secure, paid, or locally hosted endpoints for your real enterprise data. Which brings us to our final thought for today. We have just seen an open-source, American-made model trained in 9 weeks that can fit right on your desk and punch 13 times above its weight class. So I leave you with this question to ponder. If open models are already achieving this incredible level of persistence and rivaling the closed frontier, are expensive, paid coding agents already becoming obsolete? It is a thrilling time to be a developer for sure. Go download Laguna S2.1, test it on your own repos, and just see for yourself. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.